Hi there, Michelle Whitehead from Carefree Counsel. Do you ever experience a dichotomy between the desire to please everyone and the desire to put yourself first? How does this struggle play out in your life? For me, it can show up as a pendulum swinging between the desire to do it right and take responsibility for everything and everyone, and the refusal to do anything, where I vanish into my book or Facebook scrolling or online shopping or some other form of procrastination. When I'm fully in my good girl self, my rebel gets more and more resentful about the way I ignore my own needs and put everything and everyone else first. When I'm fully in my rebel self, my good girl is pulling her hair out in frustration because she knows what I should be doing. But there is no force on earth strong enough to make me. Do your good girl and rebel selves talk to each other, or do they refuse to have a relationship? The more inner work I do on my personal triggers and trauma, whether through meditation, EFT and tapping, Ho'oponopono, learning more about human design, the better it gets. My good girl and my rebel are in closer communication than they ever have been before. Instead of that pendulum between the extremes, they're currently collaborating quite nicely. Rebel me is making sure I take time to do the things that are important to me and get plenty of creative time. And good girl me is making sure I take time to do the things that are important to others and tick all those boxes. And as a result, I'm feeling quite well-rounded and satisfied. But this gives rise to its own kind of danger. So I'm also working on being comfortable with this feeling and accepting that it is safe to make this my new normal, rather than letting old habits of upper limiting kick in, the way Gay Hendricks describes in The Big Leap. Upper limiting is that sneaky way our subconscious engages in self-sabotage when we've hit a new level of success or happiness, as if we're only allowed to experience so much good in life. So when things get too good, we find ways to cut ourselves down to size with a big old dose of bad. I'm consciously choosing to break that cycle and trust that this new level of harmony isn't something to be feared, but something to joyfully embrace. I really like settling into the knowledge that I can be both the rebel and the good girl, and that those aspects of me can work well together instead of fighting against each other. So that's my challenge for you. How are you going to move towards a wise, wild wholeness that embraces every aspect of your being? One thing I've been working on is the understanding that embracing my own competence, my ability to succeed at what I want to do despite the odds, is an act of rebellion in itself. It disrupts the status quo that says I can't have it all, that I'm bound to fail, that no one can read 928 novels in a year and run a successful service-based business that brought in a gross income of just over 100K and homeschool 3 kids. Those aren't random figures. That's what I actually did last year. And all of those doubts and anxieties that say pride comes before a fall and you can't have it all, when they're empowered to work together, my rebel says stuff that, and my good girl says, watch me. Now, it's taken me close to 50 years to understand that rebelliousness does not mean being irresponsible. So if this is something you struggle with, keep rumbling with vulnerability and trying new approaches until you find the balance that works for you between compromise, cooperation, self-care, and independence. Because in that balance, you will find what best practice looks like for you. And in your commitment to best practice, you will find the secret to building a safe, sane, and sustainable business. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this.